I'm David Summers with the GitLab Field Enablement Team. And in the context of coaching and providing feedback, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about GitLab's field functional competencies. Functional competencies are critical skills and behaviors that, when consistently demonstrated, will lead to success. We gathered feedback from the field, right? Asked you of like, what does that best candidate look like? What are the things that they do? What are the skills that they have? We also pulled in information from third parties and to capture industry best practices and kind of combine those into the model that you'll see here today. Why document skills and behaviors? Isn't that just intuitive? So a few things I'd like to highlight. As we know at GitLab, with our credit values, results is the most important. However, results is a lagging indicator. So one of the purposes of codifying these critical skills and behaviors is to identify like what are the things that we can coach to and provide feedback on that will lead to success. We can also use these skills and behaviors to help us interview and identify and hire the right candidates, those that have a higher likelihood to be successful here. We introduce new team members to these critical field skills and behaviors during Sales Quick Start, the field onboarding training program. And we should continue to use them throughout the field team members' tenure to coach and develop and help them continuously improve. And as highlighted on this slide as well, providing a common language that we can all use, and it helps to set expectations of what good looks like. These critical skills and behaviors, they're functional competencies at the field level. So they are not intended to be, and they're not role specific or job specific. So just keep that in mind. So here's one way to look at the functional competencies. There are three: customer focus, solution focus, and operational excellence, each of which have 4 example skills or behaviors. Another way to look at it here, this gets a little bit more granular. So it's that same information, but in this view, each of those skills and behaviors is described. So it gives you a little bit more of an idea of what each of these are about. I want to highlight, I mentioned earlier that these are not intended and aren't role or job specific. So a couple words there. One, how these skills and behaviors come to life may vary based on the role, and they will vary based on the role that you have or your team members have in the organization. Let me highlight one example to bring that to life. Customer focus. Sales reps, right? AEs, SALs, SAs, TAMs, right? They're all customer facing. This language probably applies to them pretty well. If you're in the channel team, your customer is likely the partner, right? So swap out partner when you see some of this language. Or if you're one of the supporting teams, field operations, et cetera, the customer, right, is really the internal customer, right? So other key stakeholders in the field organization and throughout the organization that we help to support. Another comment is that depending on your role, some of these skills and behaviors will be more or less important. Let's take operational excellence, for example. You see that the account planning and management is one of those key skills and behaviors. Well, if you're an SMB AE, you're not doing account planning, right? So here you could either just ignore that, or you could think of what's the analog, right? So maybe for you, it's territory planning. So how well do you manage and plan your territory to help optimize your results? One other thing, just wanted to say that the proficiency ratings that are associated with the functional competencies are, to keep things simple, they're aligned and exactly the same as GitLab's enterprise performance ratings. So developing, performing, and exceeding. Let's take a moment now and look at a practical application. As you're having coaching conversations and your one-on-ones with your team members, I encourage you to have them assess themselves. And specifically, as you see on this handbook page, encourage them to identify 2 or 3 skills or behaviors that they think they do particularly well, but also challenge them to identify 1 or 2 areas of opportunity, areas where they can improve. then you do the same. So in parallel to that, you assess that team member or your team members. So then have a conversation to compare and contrast what each of you came up with. And at the end of that conversation, make sure you reinforce those things that that particular team member does really well today. It's so much easier to reinforce those strengths. So encourage them to continue to leverage those strengths to get to the positive results. But also when you identify one or two areas of improvement, don't just stop there, but agree to a plan of, all right, what can they do about it? Is it perhaps it's taking some additional training, perhaps it's a LinkedIn learning course, maybe it's talking with somebody else in the organization within or outside your team that demonstrates that particular skill or behavior really well. Or perhaps it's just you're providing some specific examples of what good looks like and modeling that behavior for them, etc. One final note: also encourage your team members. It doesn't have to just be a conversation with you. Once they have that development plan, I always think it's a good idea to have an accountability partner, right? Someone else, it could be a friend, it could be inside GitLab or outside GitLab, but some kind of regular cadence with a person that they trust. It could be you, could be somebody else, holding each other accountable for, like, what are you doing to focus on your development, right? That's important. We saw from the GitLab engagement survey results that team members across the board are looking for more professional development opportunities. So they're seeking that. So by having these conversations on some kind of regular cadence, you will help your team members understand that you care about them, right? Not only in delivering the results for the company, but also for them as a person and for them, for their career development. As you try this on for size, I encourage you either start with your team, start with a single person. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear your feedback of, hey, what do you find to be easy? Where were some challenges in the conversation? Would love to see, if and how we can help, and also continue to iterate on this. Thank you for your time. Talk to you soon.